assume you know. Just in case you forgot, I ask this a lot. Just subscribe to my channel, press like and that little bell that will tell you when a new show is about to start. The real Joe Fingas Show. Yeah. All our people like me will sit around talking. One thing they'll agree on is they like the A minor chord. Oh, it's easy to play, and somehow people don't get bored as much as they do with the C chord. Sometimes they can go up to B flat minor chord. But right now that sounded too much like Not Quite Right, Reverend Joseph Fingersmith's Spirit Song. Next thing I know, on his next podcast, he's gonna be saying I'm doing him wrong. But we got the right to play the chord don't mean I'm playing this song. Even though the tempo and the rhythm are similar, I'm not singing the same words, nor is it the same progression, 'cause there's a progression unlike this one. Ain't the same progression. Like a Vander Holyfield, I'm the real deal. And sometimes like a Vander, I'm too old to get in the ring. And people ask me, who let you do such a thing? Oh, I don't know what their names are. My head's still ringing from that punch. I was just knocked out, you know. They should have never let me go, but I still didn't want it to stop. Wanted to go on. We know that sometime we won't do the best thing for our welfare. Thinking we can still be 24 when we're really 58 or 69 or 73. I might not be bad as you, but you ain't old as me. The real Joe Fingas Show, I'm gonna let it go. Oh, baby, don't you know this is the real Joe Fingas Show. I've been happy all week. I've been happy all week, and I've been asking myself, I've been pinching myself on the cheek. Happy all week, pinching myself on the cheek, saying, really, am I going to speak on this? You know, am I going to speak on this, or am I going to let it leak from my mouth that the person responsible for my happiness is the not quite right Reverend? That doesn't change the way I feel about him as a human being. But I'm sure glad he left this book for me. And I took it home. I took it home so he wouldn't take it back. And I didn't. I asked Sean Williams, the sound man here, the guy who's got all this great equipment, the guy who provides the studio, the guy who lets Joseph Fingersmith call it his church. I told Sean Williams, don't tell him I took it. And don't tell me what he said about not being able to find the book. I don't want to hear any insults from him right now because he done me this favor. Sorry about trying to talk like a 1938 Edward G. Robinson extra. He did me a solid. Sorry about that. All right, where were we? How do we actualize our highest potential? I think that's where we left off. Well, you know, sometimes we're going to recapitulate or rehabituate or whatever. Haven't got any comments yet. Please send some comments. How are you going to actualize your highest potential? Well, I want to actualize whatever the potential is for this. I already told you, my example is I keep showing up and I keep doing this, no matter how much I think it's going to suck. It doesn't ever end up sucking because I'm happy doing this. That's how I actualize. Well, it might suck for you. It might suck for you. I've had to learn to live with that. I don't know how long I've been a practicing, performing in front of people musician. And the one thing I found out doing that, I can't please everybody. Half the time I don't please anybody. Seems like it. I don't please anybody, but I please most of the people I work for enough so they pay me. You know, and I like to do it. It's better than working a day job. I worked a day job forever. I worked a day job for 40 years. Well, that's about right. I mean, from when I was a teenager, well, maybe 47 years. When I was 13, 14 years old, picking fruit I think I already talked about that. That's how I met a lot of migrant workers, and they liked me because I was there to work. And, you know, from then on, from 13 on to when I collected 50 years when I started collecting unemployment. Not unemployment. No, it didn't take me 50 years to start collecting unemployment. I'll tell you that. When I was unemployed and I found out they provided unemployment insurance, I was there because I worked for that money. And when I was younger, you know, I was there because I worked for that money. And I was there because I worked for that money. You know, that's what it's for. They call it, you know, employment benefits now and everything. And it certainly helped out a lot of people. I'm on the side of this. I'm going to tell you this. This is the side I'm on. It certainly helped out a lot of people during this pandemic who needed that money. You know, I know that there are different opinions about it, and I know that there's truth to some of those opinions. But my opinion is that it helped more than it hurt the people who needed the money. I'm just going to be clear with that. It helped more than hurt this society, too. I'm going to be clear with that, too. That's where I stand. That's just my opinion. This is my YouTube. I can say that, and I'm not intending to hurt anybody else because I want everybody to be helped because that's self-actualization. If you're helped, I'm helped. If I'm helped, you're helped. That's how I want to actualize. Now, what I'm doing but I worked, and it's better. That's where we're at. The day job, I had a bunch of day jobs from picking fruit to construction work to day labor to, you know, other stuff, to other stuff which I'll go into. which some people considered. I even ended up being a salaried professional for a while. I don't want to talk about, I even had jobs where they had benefits like vacation and not 401ks, this other thing where you didn't get as much money, but at least there was an opportunity to provide me with a retirement, which I didn't do much of. And I'm not blaming anybody but my own self for that. Well, I'm blaming other people a little bit, but I blame myself for the bulk of it. And but I'm getting into this. This is really cool. It's cool to be my age and read about this stuff and start thinking about it. And really working as a musician, no matter how much. I worked in jobs, day labor, where people really hated me. Where I got hit because they hated me. Where I hit some other people because I hated them back. And, I had to go find another job, of course, but it was worth it. But it's not worth it now. I'm not going to get in a fight with any guy who doesn't like my music. What I'm going to do is agree with him. I got a story one time. I love to tell this story. So I'm playing at this place, and it's in the afternoon, and it's when I really first started playing full-time, not just part-time in between, not just part-time just to help me live through my day job and to supplement the income of my day job. And then I got to where I'm playing music full-time, so I have an afternoon gig. And there's this guy, he's probably my age now, because this was 20 years ago. 20, maybe even longer than 20 years ago. I'd say 20 years ago. So he's probably the age I am now. And but he's in a little bit, I'm going to say this, I don't know how bad a condition I'm in. Sometimes I'm in bad condition. But I think this guy was in a little worse physical condition than me. But he came up to me because he was doing some volunteer work for some arts festival, crafts festival at the place I was at. And so he was the gatekeeper, and he had to listen to me. And then when I was on my break or I was done playing or whatever, he come up to me and he says, I'm sure you're good at what you do, but personally, I can't stand your kind of music. And I said, well, okay, you're preaching to the choir, sir. That's what I said. Sir, you're preaching to the choir. And he goes, what? And I said, yeah, I don't care much for my music myself. And he says, then why are you doing this? I said, you need to talk to the manager. He says, why? I said, you're going to have to ask the manager why they hired me, because that's why I'm doing it. I'm doing it because they paid me. I don't know why they keep paying me. They keep having me come back. And your guess is as good as mine. And the rest of the time he stood there taking the tickets, he came up to me and said, I can't understand how a man would feel that way about himself and his ability. And I just agreed with him. But he couldn't understand how I would agree with him. What I wanted to say to him, but I didn't because he was already perplexed. What I can't understand is why a man would come up and say that to somebody who's doing their job. You don't have to like me. You don't have to listen to me. But why would you come up and say you suck when it's, you could walk away from taking the tickets. He was a volunteer. He wasn't getting paid for it. I found that much out about him. So why put up with something that you can't stand? What do you think I'm going to change? You think I'm going to change in my ability to play a certain kind of music? You think I'm going to be able to just snap my fingers and play what you want me to play? Maybe. There might be a maybe, because I can do some of that. I just don't want to when I'm playing solo piano, especially the longer I get. That taught me is like, just play what you're playing, play what you want. And I don't always play what I want, but I try to find a compromise. And I can always learn to like any song that I'm playing. I found that out before we get to this. So my first instrument was the trumpet. And I like to play the trumpet, but I did really in my home environment, it wasn't conducive to me practicing the trumpet. I loved New Orleans music. What a shock, right? I love New Orleans music. Loved it from the get-go. My dad had some Louis Armstrong albums, some Al Hurt albums, and he liked New Orleans music. My aunt had a great collection of all kinds of New Orleans music, from the Hot Jazz 5 of Louis Armstrong, 78s, to LPs, to 45s. She had some early Pete Johnson blues recordings. I think it was Pete Johnson or someone playing songs of Pete Johnson. She had some earliest Professor Longhair, and that just got me into the piano playing music. And of course, in the 70s or whatever, Dr. John, I began reading about him, and when he was a disciple of Professor Longhair, I already knew who that was, or vice versa. I know Professor Longhair was in my aunt's house, not the person, the records. And so I fell in love with that music, but in between the trumpet and piano, I was a drummer. And I was not a bad drummer. I was a pretty good drummer. I loved playing drums. It was the first instrument I loved. And found out I could put a towel over a box and it wouldn't make noise. And then later on when I got a drum, I could put a towel over the drum and it wouldn't make noise. And while I wasn't as delicate with the certain types of drum rudiments, I was quiet and I could play enough to satisfy my love of it. And I got to be pretty good on the drums, so good that, in fact, one of my mom's friends who was working at a factory with my mom said her husband, who was in the military, had a hangar party, and they wanted a drummer, and I was like 14 maybe. They wanted the drummer, 13, 14 I think. They wanted the drummer to come up and play drums behind this country and western outfit. In fact, that's what they called it back then. That's how long ago it was. It was these country and western folk that were playing. So they asked me. I was kind of excited, kind of scared, and I said, okay, I'd like to do it. Now, of course, this is when I was listening to a lot of jazz and a lot of rock music, the rock music of the day, which would be like Dave Clark 5, the Beatles, the Rolling Stones, later on Love Spoonful, and, those kind of folks. And then, serious kind of bebop, jazz, and big band jazz, and a lot of the, drummers, all the jazz drummers. And my brain is slipping on the names right now because I haven't talked about it for a while. Art Blakey, those kind of guys. Buddy Rich, that guy, stuff like that. Those drummers, those kind of drummers. And love that stuff. But this was country and western. I wasn't stupid. I knew to keep it simple. And they came up, they looked at me, they looked me over. These guys, they're chewing tobacco, smoking cigarettes and chewing tobacco. Because you could smoke back then. So smoking cigarettes, chewing tobacco, dipping snuff, whatever the deal is with the tobacco that's not smoke tobacco, they're doing all of it. Drinking beer, looking me over. They had their little sequins on because they were dressed up for the party. I was kind of dressed up, but I didn't have sequins on, nor did I have a cowboy hat. And, I left my sarcasm at home. It was my first event where I understood what my brother meant when he said, put your ego. And I'm starting to talk like Joseph Fingersmith, sorry. Put your ego in the trunk with other bodies, because I left it at home, my sarcasm about the country western music. because, people like me made fun of it. And they said, we don't want no rock and roll. We don't want no jazz shit. You're just going to keep time behind us. All right? Is that good for you, son? They said son. Instead of boy, they said son. Is that good for you, son? And I said, yes, sir. That's good for me. And I did what they told me, and I kept time. The next time I got to play for them was about a month later, and I made sure that I let them know I learned the lesson. All I brought was a hi-hat. You know what that is? In case you don't know, hi-hat is the little drum pedal with the two cymbals that clash. I don't know how else to describe it. And a bass drum, a snare drum, and one little bitty ride cymbal to not even make a splash, just to ride it instead of using the hi-hat for effect. They said, that's why we called you back. You learned your lesson. And I learned my lesson. And that's what I'm talking about. I learned how to play other styles of music. I learned my lesson. Okay? And in bands, I play other styles of music. But with me, by myself, I play a two-handed kind of music. And I don't know how I got into that. Kind of lost track. But it's explained why sometimes there's some naysayers, and I have to just agree with them. Because I'm supposed to be an artist, right? I'm supposed to be never satisfied with my playing. And I'm not really ever. But it's not a big deal to me. It's just something to work on now. So I'm trying to actualize my highest potential as an artist and musician. That's how I'm doing it. How do we do it? You keep doing it. Keep doing it. Start talking about it. I'm trying to actualize my ability as a YouTuber. The YouTube boogie instead of the other type of tube boogie. That used to be a hit song when I was playing with some teen bands. I was playing drums. And then later on, a version of it became more famous. I think maybe it was ZZ Top. I'm not sure. Okay, but underneath this highest potential, what is your highest potential? Saint, mystic, incarnations, genius, highest creative expression, the noblest love. Man, look at all that. That's actualization. I just want to be a better musician. I just want to be a better songwriter. But I cannot deny that some of this goes into being better at whatever I'm wanting to be better at. Even if I was the best, must be the most worthless man ever made. Procrastinating. Willing to spend my lifetime sleeping in the shade. Even if I was the best procrastinator in the world, to achieve that goal, there would have to be some kind of mysticism, some type of, I don't know, Buddha sitting under the tree for 2 weeks. In this, I'm going to pronounce it the way I pronounce it, Satori experience, his connection, with nothingness, his being blissed out there for 2 weeks underneath that Bodhi tree. My pronunciation again. And what do you think the people walking by thought about him? That lazy no-count bum. Look at him. There's work to be done. And here he is, 2 weeks. 2 weeks. He ain't dead. I checked him for his vitals. He ain't dead, but 2 weeks under that tree. You think he's going to lose a little bit of that belly? Maybe it's like hibernating bear. They weren't as mystical or saintly as the Buddha. They weren't. And so they were making judgment calls based on their level of awareness. And their level of awareness was, told that barge, let that bail. What kind of work do you think you're doing sitting under that tree? Procrastinating. What a slothful, moth-eaten soul. Some people probably thought he set out to do nothing. He accomplished his goal because it's about nothingness, ain't it? So he said, yes, that's correct. I have set out to do nothing. And there are miles to go before I am actualized enough for nothingness. Yeah. Who knows? Maybe I'll become the preacher. Fingersmith, watch out. So what is this? Genius incarnations. We lived again. Oh, yeah. I think I played this song before, but I'm going to play it because I love it. I was at this blues challenge, and I didn't make it past the quarterfinals. But the next year I was there, and everybody remembered me. And a guy who was a judge told me I got robbed. Now I'm going to believe him. He's going to tell me I got robbed? He could be lying. Why didn't he advocate for me? You know what I mean? If he really liked me that much. So, but I'm going to believe him. You know, it's all right. I accepted my loss gracefully. A better man than me won. You know, I think it was a man. I'm not sure. You never know. And, no, this guy, I did know this guy, and he was excellent. He went on to semifinals and appeared in the finals. I'm not going to say his name because he might not want to affiliated with this YouTube. But I tell you what, he was wonderful. He's from Illinois. I might put it in a link or something. I might mention it on my Facebook page, Joseph John Fuller. It's my Facebook page. And, oh yeah, by the way, I got a couple of other things that I'm going to mention after this song. But this is about incarnation. Gypsy told me when you're dead it's not the end. Gypsy told me when you're dead it's not the end. You left too much undone. You gotta come back again. I say what you tell me, it doesn't come as good news. What you laying down, gypsy woman, don't come as good news. I come seeking comfort, not reincarnation blue. Reincarnation blue. Reincarnation blue. Yeah, that's based on a true story. You know, I'd rather be Elmore James than Jesse James. I'd rather be Leroy Carr than Gene Harlow. But you don't get what you want sometimes in that past life scenario. You know? So a lot of stuff has happened to me. A lot of stuff has happened to you, to thee. A lot of stuff has happened. Even when we were speaking in thous and these and other languages, you know, incarnations. That is kind of mystical when you think about it. That might be why I had the shuffle and the deep blues funk, you know, burned inside my consciousness, you know, before I even knew I was interested in that great form of creative expression. So, you know, creative expression, I just read that. That's where I got that word from, that term from. Highest creative expression. You know, and that's what I want this to be. People have asked me a couple of times, what do you want this to be? What's your goal? And my goal, I would say, is to become as creative as I can in presenting these things, you know? And if it's not that creative, then that's as creative as I can be. If it seems to be wonderfully creative, then it's as wonderfully creative as it can be, you know? One of the things, and now I'm being honest, one of the things is I've had a dilemma, not a dilemma, one of the things that has been of concern to me is how much I should censor myself. I'm just going to say this because it's been on my mind to say it. You know how, I don't know if any of you people, I'm not talking about the Church of St. Daniel of Parking Lot Saints. I'm talking about other religious people, and I'm not making fun of them when I'm saying this, but I'm identifying with them when, you know, if they come up to you and say, I have something heavy on my heart, you know. And a lot of times it's like, you know, I feel the need to pray with you, you know, or something like that. But I got something heavy on my heart, some kind of a mission, something, and there's something heavy on my heart. And it's like, if this is the real Joe's Fingers show, sometimes I keep myself from being real, and some of it has to do with, okay, some of my day job, I worked 27 years as a counselor, and a lot of those years I worked within the framework of the county's school system. And so for a long time, for most of that 27 years, I had to watch my tongue, and I was pretty good at it. I hardly ever slipped into profanity. A couple of times I did. A couple of times it was in front of kids. And I apologized to them. And I mean, my situation going into schools, it was pretty heavy duty. They were usually designated at-risk kids who were, when they're younger, problems with behavior most of the time, and anger management issues some of the time. As they got older, there would be more authority problems and anger management issues most of the time. So one of the deals is that if I was, and I would talk to a group of kids who really didn't even want me there, they wanted to tell me how things were being done, because it wasn't a structured class in that I did have materials to present to them, but I wasn't the teacher who was already established authority. Now I'm talking business-wise. This is a little part of me that a lot of people don't know. So I have to come in, and I'm kind of loose and laid back, and most of the kids like me. In fact, I know that they do, because now that they're not kids, they stop me and They might have been a kid who said, you know, I see you outside of school, I'm going to kill you. Well, they're not going to kill me anymore. They're going to shake my hand and say they enjoyed the class, and I got them to thinking, much like this is getting me to think. And, you know, but it would get hot and heavy sometimes. And so I remember one time, I mean, this was a 10th grade class, I guess, and the F-bomb came out of my mouth, you know? Like, that's fucked. I can say it. I got to practice saying it. That's fucked. And then I go, oh, excuse me. And the kid looked at me and says, that's all right, Mr. Fuller. We all make mistakes. So basically that showed me that that was my government name. Can I use that? Fuller. My real name, Fingas. But anyway, so now when I'm with adults and stuff and I'm loose, I engage in more profanity. I wouldn't say that every other word is a F-bomb, you know, but sometimes it is when I get going. And in order to be free-willing, I mean, I'm not a big shot. You know, I'm not a big comic. I'm not a big, time musician. I'm not a big shot. I'm just a guy who basically wants to do what he wants to do for once. And on here, I can do what I want to do. I've been gradually getting up to this. I do a lot of stuff I like to do. You know, like playing music I love. It's better than the day job. Even though I like talking to kids. I really, really liked doing that. I liked working with kids. I made mistakes. You know, I made mistakes. I'm not going to tell you how to do a whole new school system. I'm not going to tell you how to do a whole new school of counseling. It was a pain in the ass a lot of times, but I liked doing it. And sometimes I did it wrong. Most of the time I did it right. And I tell you, and that's how I am with this music thing. Sometimes I do it wrong. Most of the time I do it right. This stuff I want to do as right as I can do anything right. Right here, right now, this minute, I want to do as right as I can do anything right. And that means sometimes, goddamn it, I got to cuss. It's been kind of hard. And sometimes I got to offer an opinion, even though I want to keep it light. You know? I want to keep it light. And I don't want to talk about specific things, though specific things have happened. Here's what I want to talk about: the noblest love. Noblest love is acceptance. Everybody accepting. Acceptance. 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 And acceptance. Okay, that doesn't mean rolling over. That doesn't mean you can't have an opinion. That's why I like listening to these podcasts a lot. That's why I like listening to the podcasts a lot, because I listen to the podcasts that I might have a different opinion than this guy, but he lets a person with a different opinion come on. And it's not a guy all the time. I say guy as a male. A lot of times there are women in here. Most especially women can be the most accepting. And this is my judgment. Most especially women can seem to be the most unaccepting too. But I mean, that's probably because I'm a man, a cis male. And I understand, I respect those terms. I'm not going to say I don't. But I also understand because I am this way too. I understand hypersensitivity. I understand that too. And that's why I'm so cautious, because I'm afraid of hypersensitive people being offended by what I do. Now, the one thing I found out when I play live music is that the people who seem sensitive to what I do are not hypersensitive. They just want me to shut up. And it's not most people. Most people don't. Most people like me. And I understand that. It took me years to understand that one person does not represent everybody. One person does not represent everybody in the club. What it represents is the way my ear turns. Here's how my ear turns. I got 100 people liking me. One people say, I'm so glad he's not playing now. Turn that motherfucker off. And that's how they talk, and that's how I want to talk here. Okay? Well, it's only one person. It's not the 100 who like me. A lot of them come to my defense sometimes. It's only the one person. But what do I focus on? I focus on that one person. Because I am hypersensitive. That's why. Because I am hypersensitive. 99 out of 100, 100 out of 101. Why am I so hell-bent on that person either paying the price for not liking me or trying to convince that person to like me? It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Even if it was reversed, it doesn't matter. The people I admire the most as artists were people who were not understood at first, who were laughed at. The prophets, Prophets, that I admire were the ones who were not accepted in their hometown, which is like all of them. I mean, it doesn't matter the religion. What matters is the story. They weren't accepted. They weren't accepted. They were thrown out. They were beaten. They were chased away. They were murdered. That guy in prison for 40 years who I talked about, for something he didn't do. He didn't kill nobody. He didn't kill anybody, not a person. Well, he didn't get through prison by being hypersensitive. He didn't. He's not coming up and saying, he states emphatically that he was innocent, and he has the proof, but he doesn't spend all his time talking about him. He spends all of his time talking about prisoners he helps makes the transition. Guilty or not guilty. He admits that there are people guilty of their crimes in there. And he admits he's no saint. So I think that's the noblest of love. I think for me, the noblest of love is basically not to get so damn high-strung about one thing, one offense against me. And I have suffered. I have suffered at the hands of a lot of people. And my family has suffered at the hands of a lot of people. But we also have benefited from the generosity of other people too, the kindness of strangers. So I'm not going to get specific about what made me do this, but I want people to understand my message. And I don't want to go around apologizing for my message, which I won't do. But I don't want to have to waste a lot of time explaining my message because I spent too much time explaining my explanation for my message. I didn't know I was going to get into but the noblest of love is loving one another. It's loving myself and loving one another. Now, I'm going to tell you one other serious thing, because I have this discussion a lot. And I come from a school of thought which I've learned to disagree with. And the school of thought that I thought was true for a long time was you can't love other people till you learn to love yourself. And for me, this is how it's turned out. I can't love myself till I love other people. I didn't know I was going to get choked up. I'm going to ask Sean to cut this out. Not really, probably. But until I learned to love other people and accept other people, I could not love myself. Just love myself before I love other people is the same thing as, what's that thing? Do unto others as they would do unto you, but you got to do it unto me first before I do it unto you. And the same thing, I understand. I was an adolescent. I did this too. I was a teenager who said that too. I respect you when you respect me. No, I had to start respecting people before I got respected. That's what I had to do. And I had to start loving people before I started loving myself. And I had to start understanding people before I understood anything about myself. That's how it works for me. It might be reverse, you know? I might be a dyslexic emotionally. I don't know. Might have everything turned around. I don't know, you know? But we got to love one another. That's the noblest form of love, acceptance. I don't know. Man, I don't know anything. I don't know. I don't know much. I'm not going to sing that song, but I know I love you. No, I'm not singing that today. I started crying all right. I don't want to cry over that song. So, but here's a song. Written by a guy I didn't get. It's going to be a cover song. Maybe. I don't know. Maybe it is. I'm going to do it. I got to do it now. Just about raised myself. I come up the hard way. Just about raised myself. I've been in and out of trouble, but I never asked no one for help. I don't speak educated, 'cause people I got none. I don't speak educated. People I got none, I got none. But I've done all right for myself, good as some people who got them some. 26 letters in the alphabet. I can't even write my name. 26 letters in the alphabet. I cannot even write my name. Show me them 26 letters in the alphabet. To me, people, they all look the same. know mine. Some people call me the dumb boy, but I pay them folks no mind. 'Cause for me the ignorance is just a botheration of the mind. I just played that song because I love that song. I identify with that song so much, except I can write my name. And so could Otis Spann, actually. The person who could not write his name was Muddy Waters. He's functionally, from what I understand, he was not able to read and write. Maybe he could have signed his name. I'm not sure about that. I want to get that. But everything I read, so Otis Spann, though, I mean, he was one of the great. If you don't know who he is, there's an album with Robert Jr. Lockwood and Otis Spann called Otis Spann is the Blues. And he is. He was the piano player for Muddy Waters forever. And that album with Robert Lockwood is great. It's amazing. That's where I got that song from. But another thing is that lyric, they call me the dumb boy. And I just think about that all the time. How many times people have made assumptions about other people. And certainly they would have made that probably about the story is that when Muddy Waters found out about Otis Spann, when some guy said, yeah, there's some piano player living in his car, in Chicago. And so this is a black man. I don't know exactly, I can't remember exactly where Otis Spann was from. He's fallen on hard times. He's a piano player. Imagine all the people making judgments on that guy. Thought by many, if not everybody, to be the greatest, or certainly for the Chicago style of piano playing for blues, one of the greatest, if not the greatest blues pianist ever. And another thing is that one of the reasons I'm trying to be careful about what I say sometimes is that for the hypersensitivity is that what it has prevented me from doing when I'm hypersensitive is to investigate exactly what's being said. There are many things I think that are being, not many, but there are a few things I think that are being said that actually need to be listened to for more than just, this is my opinion about a few things. So I'm not going to just cite one or two examples right now because I'm not comfortable doing that now because I'm not jumping on a bandwagon like that. But there's some things that have incited some interest, curiosity, furor, or whatever that I think, once I investigated, need to be investigated for the message. And the message is like we have to be brutally honest with ourselves about what we think and feel in order to convey this message of love. So we could get this crap out, so we could bypass the superficial and get to the deeper meaning of things. Because we are all in this together. I think some things that have been misrepresented. This is my opinion, that's all. I'm not going to name specifically, but right now, because I'm not comfortable doing it. That's the only reason. But I think that they need to be investigated more, not deliver your judgment before a full investigation and be able to dig deeper into what's being said, or at least go beyond the surface. I've said this too much already. I'm just going to repeat myself. I feel like a chicken shit because I'm not talking more specifically. Next time, I will talk more specifically. I did not mean to get serious. I did not mean to tear up. I did not mean to do any of this stuff. That's what I love about this shit. I end up doing stuff I don't even mean to do. Next time I'm going to be not so afraid to name names. Not so afraid to name names. But they call me Joe Fingers, cause I'm good with my hands. I think it's time to go before I say any more. I won't have nothing left for the next show. See you later. I'm going to throw this in too.